Hello, folks. How are you doing? My name is Melvin, and welcome. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you doing amazingly well on this place that we call the internet. Now, I just want to, as always on this show, reiterate why it's important for me, why this show, why I keep doing it, why I continue to do something that just doesn't get anyone's attention but my own. Sorry about that. I should not be on YouTube as I'm talking about this. Anyways, so it's nice to be in your own headspace that isn't this jumbled up mess. It's nice to have that feeling. And I think actions speak louder than words. So if you're trying to create that space for you, I think when you're doing something that's physical, it helps you a lot. So what I decided to do was create a show called Victorious Visionary, where I take 30 minutes out of my day to try to get this good headspace, to get kind of a good idea, get an idea of a show that isn't really a show. It is an excuse for me to be more mental health centric, but at the same time, every once in a while, giving you bits and pieces of what might be a show, what might be entertaining. Because sometimes I haven't been doing it lately because I haven't had time to edit, but sometimes I edit these clips to where I'll just upload that and not even bring up this whole show, this whole 30 minutes. I do that, every so often. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people not watching the whole show because I don't think they would get much out of it. I get more out of doing the show than than editing it and uploading it. I get more from actually just being here and talking to you folks. So you might be saying, why post it on YouTube? Why not just do this in your own? I think YouTube is just fun. So I like uploading it onto YouTube. It's just more enjoyable. So I like doing it. It presents mental health. Got a little piece of something stuck in my keyboard. I like doing it. It promotes mental health. It gives me an opportunity to talk about topics that I normally wouldn't talk about because I would be more like centered around trying to make it entertaining and into content and things like that. So it just gives me an opportunity to chill. To just be chill, just be calm, just get some things out of my mind, I guess, helps me with that as well. Because sometimes these ideas just get stuck in my mind, makes me want to talk about it, but then, I guess the first topic, I was hearing this as I was, I was thinking about this on the drive home because I was hearing about it. So Twitter has limited how many posts you can read a day. And I don't really want to get into that, but I want to just kind of get your perspective on it. So I'm just getting a article right now. It says Twitter users, what was it? It actually said Elon Musk imposes daily limits for Twitter users. But I just kind of want to give you guys a perspective here, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to read one paragraph and then we're going to talk about it. But it's going to be from a different perspective than what everyone else is talking about it, okay? In a Friday tweet, Musk described the new restrictions as a temporary measure that was taken because we are getting data pillaged so much that we are degrading service for normal users. Musk elaborated on the measures in a Saturday tweet that announced unverified accounts will temporarily be limited to reading 600 posts per day, while verified accounts will be able to scroll up to 6,000 posts a day. Okay. So the amount of posts, so that means reading a single post. So if someone makes a Twitter post that says I farted and it shows up on your screen, that counts as one post, all right? But 600, okay? And people are up in arms because it's like that's not enough posts per day. I want to look at more posts per day. You know, and then I'm also seeing on the news how YouTube is like cracking down on people watching, YouTube without ads. You know, how the ads are getting annoying, and it's like people still want to watch YouTube and things like that. So, like I said, I just want to get the perspective out there. What if there's nothing? What if this is something we need? What if this isn't really, like maybe it's not the best feeling in the world to be limited into how much content you want, but we have been so spoiled with the amount, like we can just consume as much content as we want every single day for the rest of our lives. And that is awesome in terms of an evolving society, and in terms of how much of a tool both Twitter and YouTube can be. That's amazing. And I love that fact. But let's be honest, let's be fair, let's be rational here. Most of YouTube and most of Twitter has turned into a sloppy cesspool, and we're just consuming it and like just infinite. We're just consuming some of the worst content that we have ever consumed in our lifetime. Let's just be real with that. Content online has been getting worse and worse. I could argue that the earlier content on YouTube was nowhere near as toxic, as vile, as worse for your mental health as it is now. I could be wrong in that scenario, but I don't think so. I think it's just such a bad place. These two social medias are such a bad place to be on. And if these measures are what it takes to get people off of social media a bit more, then I'm not going to complain. At the same time, though, I know that it's this isn't the solution. If this was the goal, if the goal was to get less people online, because then they're just going to switch to something else. They're going to switch to a different platform that offers what they do have. They're just going to go to something else because they need their consumption of content quenched. So if it's not going to be funny posts of people saying that they farted on Twitter, it's going to be images on this other platform. It's going to be jokes from this other social media. It's going to be podcasts. It's going to be something else. But I just wanted to have that idea out there. I know I'm in the minority. I know people will argue against me, but let's just have that thought in mind that maybe these social medias are offering some of the worst content in a long time, and maybe it's something to consider to take a break from them, take some time away from these social medias. This is coming from someone who who watches a lot of YouTube. I do watch a lot of YouTube. I do listen to a lot of podcasts, so I know from that perspective I'm being a hypocrite. But I will also say that on this show, on this channel, on whatever I talk about, whenever I'm giving advice, I want you to know that in some way, shape, or form, I am being a hypocrite. I am giving out advice that is very hard for me to even keep up with, for me to hold true. There are things that I do say are important and I do believe in, but just actually acting upon them is tough, is difficult. Sometimes I feel like a failure when it comes to me coming online and trying to give you some, what do you call it? Like just some advice. I feel like a some sort of failure. And that sucks. It sucks that I feel that way. Cuz I don't know. It's all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to be my best. But you can't always be your best. But I will say, I'm feeling really good with how much this show is changing my habits. I will say that it is working in a way. I feel less clinched on like trying to grow and make it big on YouTube than I am more for I just want to have fun and feel this way. Because this show does calm me down. It does remind me to calm down. And I feel this throughout the day. I am always thinking about ways to come back online. And I have recently thought of a solution that might work for me. Because I can't relate to an audience. I'm not really good at doing that. I try to make content and thumbnail titles that work. But that leads to the stress sometimes, this YouTube place, this social media is not a great place for mental health. It can deteriorate really quickly, and sometimes you can't see it coming. So I do want to start making content again, but I just have to remind myself that I am my number one fan. I have to enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, if I feel turned off by it, even if it makes more views, I don't want it on my platform. I'm going to have to start setting those brakes. You know what I mean? Oh, and if you hear noises, it's not the 4th of July, but there's fireworks being thrown out. So, yep. There's definitely that. There is definitely that. When I start to sing, that it means that I'm transitioning into the next thing. And that is 5 minutes of silence. That's going to be coming up because we're up at the 15-minute mark. So I always try to include this in every episode. Well, not every episode. I've only started doing it recently. But now I got to explain why silence is very, very important. I love talking about silence because it seems like something it's such a luxury to have. To have silence is such a luxury. So, we are surrounded by noise. Noise is a very unhealthy thing. It causes tinnitus in your ears and it causes really bad things to happen to your mind. Just trust me on this, all right? Too much noise just doesn't allow you to concentrate on what's important in here, okay? So just understand that you are a boring person, that you don't matter much in this world, and that the only thing that should matter is that do you care about yourself? Are you happy in your own skin? Are you happy with who you are, what you are around this world? Those are important questions. It is stressful to think about it. It can bring anxiety, but you have to make sure that you matter, that you care, And I understand playing video games and watching TV and even reading, those can be fun things. And they take your mind off of the real world. And that's great. I love it. I always want those things to exist in my life. But I also want to be happy in my own skin. I want to enjoy all that I have right here. All of it. So that's what I want. I want to enjoy this whole. In all seriousness, I want to enjoy my life. And I feel like one of the first steps of enjoying your life is just enjoying the silence. If you can't enjoy the silence that is in your head, you won't be able to enjoy the rest of the day or even the next minute. if you can't even stay silent, you know? And it takes time. What I always recommend, if you don't have it, I recommend some sort of notebook to have. That way it's just like, but don't make a memoir, just one sentence, you know? Just keep it short, one sentence. But for me, I just like staying silent and just kind of going with the flow. And then we'll go to the next segment after the silence. All right, there we go. 5 minutes. And there's two things that I've noticed from like doing these. So one, yes, I do feel more content in my own body. But two, the more you do it, the more like it's just like it's easier to just be in the moment. So it's like my body. So it's like before doing this, I ate a heavy dinner. I ate fast food. I went to Culver's actually, and I had some cheese curds and a like a custard thing. So that's a lot of carbs and sugar that I processed, and it's like my heart's racing a little bit, but my body was just like, all right, I'm in the moment. I'm doing that. And then also I can cling on to like happy thoughts. If a bad thought comes in, I can kind of just like, all right, it's there, but but then a good thought, I can kind of focus on that more. Breathe in, breathe out. There's nothing more relaxing than a nice big breath. So I'm gonna end with this final. So I like that. I like this. So I'm gonna start including these in these episodes until I feel like I can't do it anymore. Ooh, this one's an interesting one. So I was looking to see like some advice columns and things like that. So I like reading them, so because I like giving advice. And like I said, I'm not coming from a perspective of being an expert. I just come from a perspective of I like to feel helpful. So there's a column called Dear Abby, but I'm just going to call it Dear Melvin. I'm not even going to read her response. I don't even know what the response is. If you want to read Dear Abby's response, go for it, but you're not going to hear it. You're going to hear my response. So it's Dear Melvin, my daughter, it's not Melvin, it's Abby, but my daughter caught my husband doing drugs, cheating on me while I was at work. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. I don't even know how I'm going to answer that. While I work 12-hour night shifts at a hospital, my husband sometimes invite his coworkers and friends over. He likes to hang out with a crowd. I prefer to keep my circle of friends tight. I don't usually mind. It's a weekday and my husband has to work the next day, 6 days a week usually, and gets our 3 kids to bed on time. Recently, my 10-year-old daughter told me that while I was working, she saw them with a tube on the counter and then they were sniffing things. She also said the wife of one of the husband's friends came over, and that's when they were making out on the couch and then moved to her bedroom while they made out. She said she was afraid to tell me sooner because she didn't want her dad to yell at her. I am livid. Words cannot express how furious this makes me. I don't understand how he could put our kids in this situation. I can't help but wonder what else transpired while I'm at work. How do I discuss this with him without losing it completely and throwing him out? This is tough. This is tough. And I think what makes it tough and there's this YouTube channel. I don't know the name. I forgot the name of the YouTube channel. I think it's called Gamer GG or something. Gamer GG. Healthy Gamer GG. That's the name of the channel. And what he does is he's not like being their therapist, but he is kind of being their therapist and having an hour-long interview. So it's like if I was talking to this person, and the name just says Livid in California. So if I was talking to Livid, I would be asking a lot more questions because I feel that she has to know that he has a past with drugs. So, like, this isn't just a new thing or a new pattern, or they just found out about it now. Like, I feel you knew something. And I'm not saying that to... I'm really not saying it to, like, go after her or to attack her. But it's like sometimes when you look at these patterns, Instead of saying, like, you sometimes you should have been like, how did I not see this sooner? How did I not notice the patterns? Because this is tough. Like I said, this is a tough question. And then the cheating part, like, I don't know much about relationships. I've never been cheated in a relationship. I never had a relationship long enough to be cheated in. So that part's also really tough. That one's really tough, especially if you have like 3 kids and you're being cheated on, and one of them knows that it's cheated. Sometimes people stay in relationships because that's what's best for the kids. Sometimes it's hard too, because it's like, man, it's like, you know, if you go to court and then divorces, sometimes you have less time with kids. Like, I have a family member who only has weekends, like does not have a lot of time with the kid. The other person actually got more time. And I feel kind of bad in that scenario. It is really tough. This is a really tough situation. And I wish I could give more advice. So I feel like with the drug part, I feel like this shouldn't be as much of a surprise. If it is, he is just a compulsive liar, and he could be really good at faking it and maybe just never knowing, or maybe he's just doing it every once in a while, you know? But just to have this much irresponsibility just come out of nowhere, it's not nothing. This is not nothing. So my honest advice, and this might not be a good, you know, maybe people don't want to hear this answer, because people like clean answers. I don't think there's a clean answer. I think therapy for as many of the family members as can have it. For you, for the husband, for the kids, like therapy, like, it's tough, especially when she was saying that they works 12-hour night shifts at the hospital. But she is saying at the end, how do I discuss this without losing it completely and throwing him out? And it's like, I don't think I have that answer. I think that's when therapy comes in. How would I feel if this happened to me? I'm trying to get in that headspace. I think the anger is definitely justified. There's no doubt about it. Just like, yeah, if that happened to anyone, anger is a reasonable thing to feel. I think if I had to give an answer, I would genuinely ask, how important is this? Like, how important is it? How much does this relationship mean to her? How much does he mean to her? How much does his life bring meaning to hers? Because yes, he cheated. And like I said, I don't know the whole story. This is me without knowing the whole story. He cheated. But just how important is that relationship? How important is it for her to forgive him? Because if it's more important than anything else in the world, then they should get therapy and learn to figure it out and solve it. But if it's not worth it, if there's too much pain that would be involved with them being together, then you might have your answer there. I wish I had more information in this scenario. But as much as cheating on someone is It's very bad. It's not good. I think at the same time, like, again, I'm not trying to justify getting cheated on. But when there's just so much investment in this relationship, having, is it 3 kids? Yeah, and he gets our 3 kids to bed on time. There's so much of an investment there. How worth it? How worth it is this? Like, I don't know. I wish I had an easier answer here. It's tough. That's a tough one. That one might stump me a little bit. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. This was a good session. All right. Okay. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Take care.